Hello and welcome to the Potty Mouth Preacher. I am Lisa Czak, your host, transforming women's minds, bodies, and souls, one F-bomb at a time. On today's episode, we are talking about healing the trauma within. How do you know you even have trauma? What do you do if you have trauma? Stay tuned. Before we get started, we're going to do what we always do. And please close your eyes if you're able to. Give me 3 deep cleansing breaths, letting out all of the doubt, anxiety, and fear, whatever is weighing heavy on your heart today, weighing heavy on your mind, weighing heavy on your body. Let it out with each exhale on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Follow along with me. Get that deep breath in. Don't you feel more relaxed just doing that a couple times? Give me a couple more deep cleansing breaths. And with every exhale, picture yourself blowing out every responsibility that you have on your shoulders. Every label as wife, mother, daughter, boss, employee, friend, CEO, student. Every doubt, anxiety, fear. Just let it out of the outside of this device, because you don't need it when you're in here. In here is a time for just you to be focused on yourself. Ask God to guide you. That's what I do at the beginning of every episode. I say one prayer. Say it along with me. God, use me. Guide my steps. Guide my words. Guide me to becoming the woman that you created me to be. Now take another deep cleansing breath. Open up your eyes if they were closed. And I now want you to out loud, or in your mind, if you're not able to say it out loud, give me 3 celebrations since I last saw you. I'm going to tell you my own celebrations today because I haven't shared those. My celebrations are that even though we're on episode 6, the first episode, the premiere of the Potty Mouth Preacher, finally released on September 13th. So I am celebrating all of the messages I'm getting, all of your whys and your I ams, all of you that are doing the work, not just simply listening to this podcast, but actually implementing the steps that I give you so that you can become the woman God created you to be. And I'm also celebrating the fact that I'm not obsessing about numbers, right? Just like the scale, right? I'm no longer a woman who steps on the scale and obsesses about the number on the scale. I'm not obsessing about how many subscribers do I have? How many likes do I have? How many followers do I have? I'm celebrating that I have surrendered it all to God and Jesus. God, Jesus, and my deceased mom are my dream team in this Potty Mouth Preacher endeavor that I'm on. So remember, no celebration is too small. Okay, you have to celebrate every step along the journey so that you're noticing you are making progress, right? So those days where you're saying, I don't understand. Nothing's happening the way I want. My life sucks. Nothing's going my way. You can actually say, wait, that's not true. Because these things are happening, right? So, okay, now in today's episode, we are talking about all things trauma. Trauma is this buzzword that you hear all the time. Now, I feel like it's good and bad that it's becoming popular because when labels or like a word starts becoming too trendy, it starts losing meaning, right? There's no more meaning behind it. So the first question people always ask me is, Lisa, how do I know if I have trauma? How do you know? Are you wondering? Shake your head, raise your hand, do a little dance. Do I have trauma? I don't know. Well, I'm going to tell you, if you're human and you're walking around on this earth for more than, a few months, you have trauma. It is a normal human experience that all of us experience trauma. The difference is that trauma is on a continuum. Some things that are super traumatic for me would not affect you at all. So trauma is on a continuum. And how do you know? Okay, how do you know? So we know you're human. I'm assuming if you're watching, you're a human being, unless the dogs are out there. And you know because you feel it in your body. Trauma creates this visceral reaction, right? We are really just a bunch of 5-year-olds walking around in adult bodies. That is the truth. I actually used to be, the potty mouth preacher used to be a kindergarten teacher. And some of the moms have actually messaged me and said, I remember when you were just a kindergarten teacher and not the potty mouth preacher. I think I've always been a closet potty mouth. I just suppressed my true self because growing up, I heard, shh, people are looking, people are watching, shh. You don't want to be noticed. And so growing up, I thought I was shy. It wasn't until like my 40s, until my whole life went to hell. Read my book, Portal Tears, Drowning the Demons Beneath the Fat to keep the weight from coming back. And you will read my whole story about how I really came into my own, not until my 40s. Once I became a personal trainer, once I had to, like our whole finances were blowing up and I had to get a job. I was a stay-at-home mom and I had to get a job. That's when I really came into my own and found my voice because I had to find my voice. I had to command a room of 100 challengers, they called them, which I always hated that word, but they were people who were in a 6-week, 20-pound challenge. And I had opened up this brand new location. I had no trainer. So I was the one training like a room of 100 people at a time. When you're doing that, you have to be commanding. You have to use your voice. Maybe sometimes you have to drop some F-bombs to get their attention. And so that's when I realized I was never shy. I want you to think about a trait that you have, right? Also, you're going to be shocked to hear I was terrified of public speaking. I had to take public speaking in high school. I remember my heart was racing. I thought I was going to throw up. Like I would have rather done anything, like poked my eyeballs out with my pencil than stand in front of a class, especially of my peers, and have to actually tell them, speak in front of them, tell them whatever it was I had to tell them. Again, that was simply because I thought I was shy. I had a tape in my head that I was shy. So think back on a trait that maybe you have. Right? Is there a trait that like it's usually your family, right? They see you through a certain lens and it's hard for them to see you outside of that lens. I mean, Jesus even talks about this, right? In the Bible, like there was no honor in his home. Like even in his own home, he was not accepted as who he is as the savior of the world. So think about that. This goes way back, right? So don't go blaming your parents or whoever you think put that tape in your head. This is not about blame. This is about being aware so that you can actually become, and not just become. No, you know what? Let's not become the woman God creates us to be. Let's be the woman that God wants us to be, that God has created us to be. Because we don't want to wake up wanting. We don't want to wake up, oh, I can't wait till I become this woman, right? You hear all this crap about future self. I can't stand that. I will actually have an episode about creating your future self. But really what it is being who you want to be in the present moment, by doing all those things that hopefully you have done already in episodes 1, 2, 3, that you've discovered your why, you've claimed your I am, you know your main non-negotiable, you are no longer making losing weight a lifestyle. And by the way, all of those things can apply to anything. I get a lot of questions about this, right? But I want a job. Like, I'm okay with my weight, Lisa, but I need a different job, or I don't have a job. Same thing applies. Find your why. Find your I am with whatever it is you desire in your life, and you will get it. You will achieve it. If you do all those things I talked about in episodes 1 through 5. So if you have not listened, go back and listen. This is an interactive podcast. Remember, God rewards action. Action, action, okay? Back to trauma. So how do you know? So you're going back into childhood, you're thinking about like a trait that you have, right? And you're also listening to your body, okay? I say triggers are gifts. Triggers are gifts. They are not gifts that are wrapped up in pretty packages with a shiny bow on top kind of gifts. Not that kind of gift, unfortunately. But triggers are gifts because they are clues where you have trauma and where you still need healing. So say you are having a conversation with someone and they say something and suddenly your head is reeling, right? I don't know, you start sweating, or you get like a feeling in the pit of your stomach, or you get a lump in your throat. That is a sign that you were triggered and that you have trauma living in that part of your body. That's where you're storing it. Remember, we talk a lot about storing extra weight in your body, which is why you have literally extra weight on your body in pounds and in fat. You have to get to the root of it. You have to figure out, when was the first time you felt like that, right? When was the first time you had that lump in your throat feeling? When was the first time you felt that like sick feeling in your stomach? Or maybe you start shaking, right? For me, when I am in a situation and somebody is very toxic, and I might not even recognize them as a toxic person at this point, I will shake. Like I'm just shaking. Like, people will even ask me, are you cold? Like, do you need a blanket? Do you need a sweater? No, I need to heal my inner trauma that's happening inside my body. Is what I need to do. So pay attention, and you want to welcome triggers. I say this all the time to my private clients and my babes, my badass bitches empowered, and my healing group. And they're like, what? I said, yes, welcome triggers. Because if you welcome triggers, it's a gift for you. It has nothing, when you are triggered, it has nothing to do with the other person. I have triggered people. You have triggered people, right? Social media. Oh, that's a whole landmine of triggers. I mean, you can't get around social media without being triggered in some way. So that's a good place to start, actually. Go on social media and read a post, and maybe you're like, I gotta respond, right? You start going crazy, you start typing, and why? No, take a breath. See where you feel this in your body. Think back to the very first time you ever felt this feeling. You might not even know why, right? Like, I have several women that I've worked with that say, Lisa, I don't understand it. I have a loving husband. My kids are great. I have a great job. I just never feel wanted, though. I don't know why. Like, I never feel wanted. And then we do the work that I'm doing with you, or they do the visualization that I'm actually going to be doing in the next episode. And they figure out, whoa, I was an unwanted baby. Yes, it can go back that far. And for many, many women, it does. That you could sense what your mom was feeling, right? And how scared she was, or when she first found out. All of it seeps into our being, into our soul, and leads you to feeling unworthy, unwanted in this life, and constantly hustling to feel wanted, to make sure you're wanted, constantly hustling for your worth. Do not wait until January 1st to feel sexy. Feel sexy now. Feel sexy through the whole holiday season. I'm going to help you by offering you a free one-on-one Feel Sexy This Holiday Season coaching session with me. In this powerful one-on-one session, you will become crystal clear on feeling sexy. What is it going to feel like to feel sexy this holiday season and beyond? You're going to uncover all the ways you're sabotaging your sexiness. Lastly, you're going to leave this session feeling renewed and inspired to get your sexy on. I have limited spots available. Book now so that you actually get a spot. Click the link below. You are worth it. So going back, it's not going back to get mad at people who treated you wrong, right? It's not going back to figure out, who do I blame, right? Whose head am I going to put on a platter for this shit? No, it's not about that. I don't want you to leave here and go and just, start screaming at your parents. They did the best they could with what they had, just like you're doing the best you could. Like, I'm screwing up with my daughter. I'm sure of it because I'm human, right? One day she's going to be figuring out how to heal things. She already is, actually, because she's done everything that I'm doing with all of you. She's taken all my courses, all my groups. So go back. I want you to think about the last time. Let's do a little exercise right now. I want you to think about, and maybe it's happening right now, something somebody said to you that just really got under your skin, that just really pissed you off, right? Like you just wanted, like you didn't understand that, and you're just reeling about it. You just cannot let it go. Like it's just, it's eating away at you, right? It's in your mind. And it's a story that's in your mind, right? We don't really know what that other person is thinking or doing or feeling, but it's a story that you're telling yourself in your mind. Our mind sits on a throne of lies, as Elf, my favorite movie, would say. But your body will never lie. So think about that interaction. And I don't want you to stay up here. I want you to go inside your body. And I want you to see, where do you feel this feeling in your body? Is it an upset stomach? Is it a tightness in your chest? Is it a lump in your throat? Is it your jaw is like clenched like this? Is it your fist on your jaw, right? Think back to that. I'm going to give you an example of my own trauma that my mom figured out, why I had so much trouble just sort of expressing myself, and why I just like jump to anger. Like I will just bam, it's like 0 to 1,000,000 when it comes to anger, right? I will jump to anger when I'm really sad or upset. And it was my mom that figured out. She was all upset. Why do you keep talking about trauma? Every time I turn around, you're talking about trauma on social media. And you had a nice childhood. Why are you talking about this? So I shared with her everything I'm sharing with you about how certain things happen in your childhood and you carry them into the future with you. And how like I'm really prone to anger and I have trouble crying to the point like it hurts, not anymore because I've healed it, but it used to hurt, physically hurt me to cry. And I felt it down low in like my intestines. I felt like my intestines were just like, that was the feeling. That's just what I felt. Like anytime I wanted to cry, I would go straight to anger, right? Rage, fucking rage, and I would feel it down low in my intestines. It would hurt, and I could not cry. And my mom says to me, and I thought it was a different time. She's like, no, honey, that's because when you were a baby, you were born with a hernia and nobody knew it. Nobody knew you were born with a hernia, and you would not cry. You would go to cry, and instead your face would turn bright red and your fists would clench, and I'd be like this. She said my whole face would turn, my whole body would turn red, right? But especially my face and my fists. And the doctors told her I had colic. And she's like, she doesn't have colic. She's my second baby. I'm telling you, something is wrong with my child, right? Like a true mama bear would do. You moms, you got it, right? You understand. Have you ever had your baby have this experience? You know something's wrong with your child and everyone's telling you something else, but you know. Shake your head, I know. So she was changing my diaper the one day and she saw a bulge in my belly and took me to the doctor, and it was a hernia. I was a double hernia. I was born with a double hernia. Nobody knew, right? Nobody knew. And then I had surgery and we fixed it. However, that unhealed wound stayed inside of me and I carried it with me all the way to adulthood, right? That's why I was turning to rage and anger. And that's why I wasn't able to cry. That's why it physically hurt me to cry. And once I realized this, because before I go to cry, I'll feel like a lump in my throat and then I feel like my intestines doing this horrible thing. So all I did was, before I felt like I was going to cry, in those instances where maybe I wanted to cry, right? Sometimes you need a good cry, as my grandma would say. And instead of resisting it, our first instinct is to have that sensation, like the lump in your throat or me, that in my intestines, and go away, I don't want this feeling, go away, I don't like this feeling, right? Well, instead of resisting it, send it love. It represents a part of you. Like for me, that represents a part of me, infant Lisa, who needed love, who needed acceptance, who needed someone to say, listen to her. She's trying to tell you that she's in pain, that something is wrong with her. So once I went back and healed little infant Lisa, and I sent my body love. And it still happens to this day. A lot of times I feel like I want to cry, right? And the tears don't come, and I'll feel that sensation in my lower intestines. And I just close my eyes and I just send that part of me love. I don't try to make it go away. I accept it and love it for what it is. I allow myself to feel it. Are you getting me? Is this helping anybody out there? Can you relate to this at all? So, guess what your soul work is going to be this week? You are going to welcome triggers. You're going to say, bring it on, bitches. Ooh, yeah. I'm ready. Give me all the gifts. I want to heal. I want to get rid of every unhealed wound in my body and heal so that nothing phases me anymore. I will be unfazed. So, remember, how are you going to know when you're triggered? You're going to know when you're triggered because it's going to be a visceral reaction. That's a fancy psychological term for you're going to feel it in your body. Okay? You're going to feel shit fucking not good in your body. It's not going to feel good. That's how you know you're triggered. And then you're going to close your eyes. If you can't close your eyes, it's okay. You can do this as you're talking to the asshole that is triggering you. And you're just going to keep sending it love, sending it love, sending it love, sending it love, and accepting it, not resisting it, not trying to make it go away. I actually want to do an example of this on one of my shows. So if you're interested in coming on my show and doing this exercise with me, drop it in the comments or go to the socials at Lisa Czak and tag me and let me know that you want to be on the show to heal your trauma. Got it? Okay. So you are welcoming triggers, you're seeing where you feel it in your body, and you are sending it love and acceptance. And don't forget, I always forget, I think I probably drive my producer crazy. I always forget to tell you to subscribe, like, comment, rate, review, all the things for me so that the potty mouth preacher can get seen and transform even more women's minds, bodies, and souls one F-bomb at a time. Remember, you are worth it.